Hey Karan.
हेलो हेलो हेलो। आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ हाँ, ठीक है। मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ हाँ, आपकी भी आ रही है। हेलो हेलो हेलो, गुड इवनिंग गाइस। एम आई ऑडिबल? If I'm audible, let me know. The voice is fine, right? Okay, great. So there were some issues. I don't know. So Lenson knows every time the meeting was keeps on ending. So we have created a new. So sorry for that. Just wasted more than 15-20 minutes. Okay, no issues. Let's just start today's session. Just a second. Okay, let me stop this. Hmm. Where's the whiteboard? Here. Okay, great. My Jupyter was running. Okay, so let's talk about the today's agenda, right? So what we're gonna study today. So first thing today, I think today is the lecture number 4. So Node lecture number 4, right? And the topic that we're gonna cover today, it will be quite of a mixed topics that we're gonna see, right? One is not dependent on other, but yeah, to be a part of it, we're gonna see that. So the first thing is status code, right? Status code provide a very important, or you can say major role while making any API to work. So we'll see all the status code like 404, 400, 200. What are these, right? What their meaning is, what are the ranges of it. So we're gonna look into that, right? So it won't be a lot of like learning, but you should be aware of that. Then what we required is to have the, what we can say. Before that, I just want you to cover the, I think, storage part. So let's say storage. Yeah, the storage, basically the database. So there will be an intro to file system, right? And intro to, you can say, databases, right? These are the things that we're going to cover. So these two things will be quite of a theoretical part. Then we're going to see the demo of all the CRUD operations that we have implemented. So you can say demo of each API method, right? So this will be one of the implementation based thing. Then we're going to see the demo of the one of the databases, because in database we have MySQL and MongoDB. So for one of that, we're gonna pick one, and then along with that, I will just show you guys the demo part. Okay. In databases, we will learn the some fundamentals, but through coding, we will just want to once see that okay how it has been doing. We will not go more into the depth of it, because in coming lectures we have to do that, right? So it would be just for uh like for you guys to have a look and to memory have a memory of it, right? So demo of you can say MongoDB, most probably MongoDB, or you can say databases DB, right? And all of this is we will be doing with the help of an postman. So you can say testing with postman, testing with postman. So basically, you can say an introduction of Postman also, because Postman is a tool that you're gonna like have to learn this every time when you're working as a backend developer, right? So these are the agenda for today. So let's just first start with the status code. Okay, so let's just a second. So basically, what this status code means, right? So status code is nothing. It's you can say it's a response, or you can say the status of the call that you have made, right? So we name them as HTTP response status code, response status code, right? Why we are saying this? Because all the requests will be made from the client side, right? This is my client. They will make a request. So I'm not saying it's a request status code. I'm sending it's a response status code. By saying that, what it means, let's say this is my server. So this server will respond it back with some status that whether this request of the client has been succeeded or failed, or there are any other issues with that. So whatever you are sending, so we can say response dot status of, let's say, 200, right? You can say response dot status of 400. So this is why we call them as a response status code. So this status will become again coming back to the client side, and if it is green, so it's 200. So whatever they are, their ranges will be differ, and we'll see what they mean, right? So that is one of the things. So you have to just memorize. I'll show you one of the example if I can go to the Google Chrome. I know you know what is status code, but just for implementation purpose. So just a second, inspect. You can go networks, sorry, not memory, network, just refresh it again. You make a request, the first request, and then in the header section, you can see what is the status code that you are getting. You're getting a status code of 200. So if, let's say, my internet was not working, then there might be some case that I get some different status code. If there is something error at the backend part, so there might be some different issues, right? So whatever it is, you have to define a status code. So the reason being, why there is a reason of doing that, because we can send a particular message also, no? We can send a message in the response. So you can write something like res.send, and then you can open a bracket with here, you can just write a message, and then whatever the message that you're passing, you can that, okay, it is a failed, right? Or it is succeeded. You can make these kind of thing as well. But why we are following the numbers, one of the main reason is they are not uniform. By saying uniform, let's say here from the client I made a request, right? By either using the fetch or Axios, I make a request to the backend, and now I am all the Axios or the fetch request that you make, it's a promise, right? It returns you a promise. So either you'll go into a dot then or dot catch, right? So if it is succeeding, promises are of three type. It's pending, either it's resolved or it has been rejected, right? So agar wo resolve ho rahi hai, so there you have to put checks whether all of the things worked fine. So you have to put a check that if response dot status code is equals to 200 or not. If it is not, then you'll throw an error from the user, for the client person on the front end side, that okay, whatever the response that you get back is not, it is not fine. So for 200 you'll throw an error, for 400 there will be some different error, right? For 300 there will be some different error. So you have to map this thing, you have to map res.status code with something. So for at organizational level, at a project level, you can do that, that okay, you are mapping something, that you have told both the front end developer and the back end developer that okay, for failing something, for succeeding, there will be different messages. Let's say failed due to internet, failed due to a database, failed due to anything, whatever the reason it is, you have mapped all of that. But again and again doing that for all the lot of you can say projects across the world, for all the organization, it will become difficult. So that's why we have mapped them with few numbers that we call as a status code. So every time no one has to like remember that, and you don't have to remember all of the status code. There are quite few like popular ones, so you can stick along with that, right? So this is the use case or the need of the status code, right? And now we're going to look the ranges and what they means, and we are not going to go into depth of it. I'll provide you with some resources for that, but I'll just pick few popular ones and just move along with that, right? So just a second. Yeah, so the first one will be I think 100 100 to 199. So this is the first range, and we call this as informational responses. Informational responses. This is the name of this, right? So few example of it would be 100. Let's say for 100 we call this as everything, whatever the information that you're looking for is fine, you can now continue further. So for remembering this thing, you can say continue. And then let's say if you're switching a protocol, let's say you have made a connection on a particular thing, but internally it changes the protocol. So you can throw some kind of another status that you call as 101. That is, we known as that as switching protocol. We known them as switching protocol. So you don't have to remember this thing. Whenever you want that there is a need of something that you want to implement, simply Google it. I'm just telling you a few popular ones, right? So you don't have to remember each and everything, right? So let's say the another range will be 200 to 209, sorry, 299. And we call this as successful responses. We call them as successful responses. And for example, so this is an example. ठीक है, यहाँ पे भी लिख देते हैं example. So example will be, I think you guys also know 200. That means okay, means everything works fine. Whatever you were trying to do, either you are making a get request or you're trying to like locate one of the pages, navigate through pages, whatever you were trying to do, whatever the get request that you have made, there is a 200 status of that. All good. You can send 201. 201 for what? Let's say a person is trying to register himself, means sign up himself into one of the website, right? Let's say AccuJobs or any of the profile. So once he was registering himself, he was creating his data inside the database for the very first time, right? So you have created something inside the database. A one entry have been made inside a database. If someone has made a product purchase, so then a order inside the order book, or you can say order schema, there will be new entry. So whenever you are making a new entry inside the database, then you can send a status of 201 protocol. Sorry, 201. That means created, successfully created. So here where we mentioned that if let's say the person made a request for registering himself or for the sign up, in response, means in the Axios or fetch, you can send the person's informations like his name, his email, password, everything. And in response, you can put a dot then and dot catch. And in dot then and dot catch, what you do normally, basically ट्राई कैच जो हम करते हैं रिजॉल्व या फिर रिजेक्ट के लिए, तो उसमें यू कैन पुट इफ res डॉट स्टेटस कोड इज not equals to 201, then you can throw an error to the user that जो new user है registration is not successful, sign up is not successful, right? So that is how you can map things. And let's say if you're trying to make a request in which you want to get like accepted or whatever the API that you're using, API keys. So if you're using that and your call has been accepted at that particular route, so we send a response of A02. So we call that as this accepted for 202. There are a lot, 203, 204 up to 299. There are a lot of meaning are there. You don't have to like dig along everything. Most of the time you were just using either 200, 201, 400 or 404. I just want you guys to know, at least to know these information, right? Okay. So another will be 30, right? So from 30 to 399, right? So this is known as redirecting message. This is known as redirecting message. Okay. So let's say you are trying to navigate a page. There are two kind of scenario that could be take place, right? There are two, like once you are trying to navigate that page but it has been deleted, right? If it has been deleted, you can throw an error 404, keep page not found, right? But there are other scenario could also be there, that you're trying to navigate a particular URL that you know is correct because it was working till 1 month back and you know it is correct. But now if you try to go, if it is giving you a 404, that should not make a proper sense because earlier the page was there, right? So instead of doing that, what we can send is 301, and we can tell them that this page has been moved permanently, right? And then you can navigate the student or the backend developer has been trying to communicate with the front end developer by sending this 301, that okay, whatever this URL the user is trying to hit, this has been moved, right? If the front end developer will see that we are getting a response of 301, that means this page has been permanently removed to some other URL. Then they have a conversation, they'll fix it, so there will be 301, right? So these are the few things. Just a second. There will be some others as well for 30. Let me see. Okay, sorry. This is for 301. No, correct hai. This is for 301. Move permanently. There is 30 also. That means multiple responses, right? That means multiple responses. There could be a possibility that the user is trying to hit or trying to navigate, trying to search, or trying to make a new entry. So there, that request has more than one possible response, right? So if that is the case, then you can send a status code of 300 that there are multiple responses. Then you can provide two options to the user that what they want. So they will act accordingly, right? In small project, this is not necessary. Like, you, most of the times you won't be able to get opportunity to work with these status code, but in big organization there will be cases when you got to this, right? Okay, yeah, and there is 302 as well. Let's say 302. So what it means, it was moved permanently. It means moved temporarily. Okay, so whatever the page you are trying to navigate, whatever the request at which URL you are trying to meet, it has been moved temporarily. You can think in two ways. See, the one way of thinking is to place yourself as a user. This is my client, you are a user to it, you are interacting with the website, right? And then you are dealing with the backend developer, so this is my server. And another place to put yourself is as a front end developer, as a front end developer, right? There might be few scenarios that you don't want to show to the user, right? A user is not aware of these codes. So whatever, let's say the backend server has completed their work, they have developed the backend, they have developed the APIs for us. Now the front end team is working along with that. So if they are trying to hit a particular URL and they're seeing that these are the responses that they are getting at multiple test cases, they have to work accordingly, right? So there are two scenarios. One, you can think as a user, and other as a front end developer, that these are the responses that I'm getting. So who is sending these responses? Who is responsible for like deciding that which response status should be sent to the front end developer? Is the backend developer. So as a backend developer, you should know these things, right? So that's why it's whole you guys have not studied about these things when you were learning a React, right? So that is also one thing. And let's talk about the last range, I think. Okay, no, second last range. I'm making sense ना guys? इतना समझ में आया सबको? Okay, good. I think there are two more ranges. So let's talk about the first one, that is 402. This one's the fourth one. So 40249 yeah, 499. And that is, can anyone tell me ये कौन सा response हो सकता है? Server side error. No, this is client side error. Lenson, this is client side error. Client side error. And I think the server side error is the fifth one. 5002 This is the server side error. Server side error. Okay. So there are very famous things that in this particular range, that 30 and 399 is redirecting, I guess, na? Redirecting messages. And 20 to 299 was successful responses, and 100 to 199 are informational responses. I'll highlight them. These are the things now. And I think here we have, for this particular range, we have this as a client side error, that my API throws an error, right? My API is throwing an error, but because of whom? From where that API comes to us? That comes to us from the client side. That's why we are throwing in that particular response to them. So whatever that person is trying to do, the front end developer, that is why we have thrown this kind of an error, right? So few famous are 404. Anyone knows what 404 means? It's just for bad request. right? That whatever the request that you're trying to make, either the parameters that you are sending, that URL, the way you are writing, basically the parameters and everything, if it contains some authorization token and everything, so whatever you're trying to do, that is not valid, right? And yeah, 404 is for page not found. Actually, it is not found, but we can use that for pages as well. So just remember, it is for not found, right? So that URL does not found to us. And there is 403 as well. That means forbidden. That this particular URL or API has been forbidden as of now. So please try another. Right. And for 500, I guess, yeah. So I think 500 server error sometime you have seen on doing, I think on YouTube, I guess, because they deal with the server side error. So think in this way that one server is trying to interact with another server or external servers. Then if let's say this is my server number 1 and this is my external server S2, let's say, I have to collect some data from here. It has its own DB and here I have my own DB, right? I have to collect some data from here. So it will make call, we will make a call here. It will retrieve from there, return us back and then show it back. So when at this particular stage, we make any kind of an error. So from one server to another server, from server to any external server, server to databases, right? Then we are throwing some kind of an error that is you can say the server side error. This is the server side error. This error has not been created by the client, right? So few of the famous example, I think you might have heard about 502, that is bad gateway. Or there is another example, I think 500, I guess, if I'm not wrong, that is internal server error. Internal server error. ये तो आई गेस सुना होगा 500 इंटरनल सर्वर एरर. ये N502 bad gateway, basically nothing that whatever the thing that it needs to do internally, it have not done yet, and whatever request you have made is wrong. Just a second. Okay, and we have okay, yeah, fine. Okay, so yeah, that's all we have. These are the few famous example. Here we talked about the client side error from 400 to 499. Few famous are these two threes: bad request not found, forbidden. And for server side error, these are the some gateways error. Gateway error you might encountered when you're trying to make a payment. So have you heard there is a payment gateway? Let's say when there's a Razorpay or any PayPal gateway that you have attached, that you're working, if you try to refresh at that particular point, so you see some kind of an error. And if you look more deeply into that, that is a bad gateway error. So that is also one thing. Internal server error is nothing that internal server is error is nothing that basically as a backend developer most of the time, and you will see when we will develop a project now, you have to like handle all of the test cases that you can think of, right? So there should not be a point that where your APIs or your try catch is not there and your server is down now, right? Because of any of the scenario and an error occur, and because of that your server is down. So if that is happening, so one of the request or response of something is not handled properly, so at that particular point you throw this 50 internal server error. So that's all for status code, I believe. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah, 100 this, 200, 300, 400 and 500. That's all. So सबको इसमें कोई issue है किसी को? Let me know if there is some. All clear, guys? Hello, hello, hello. Am I audible? Okay. So we can do one thing. I can provide you some kind of a resource, HTTPs. status code. There are few. I think you can follow this Mozilla one. It is fine. So here, all the status code, all the famous status code are present. So you can go along with that. And if you want to read, you can, right? So just sending these. Okay, fine. So let's move to the next agenda for today. What we have, what we need to cover, storages. Okay, fine. So let's come to the storage wala part. Storage, we will not like go a lot of depth. बहुत ऊपर ऊपर से ही cover करेंगे. Storages because बहुत बार you guys have come across these things. So इसलिए, so that's why. So what is storage basically? What is storage? Can anyone tell me? What is storage? होता क्या है? Anyone? Any answer? Okay, no issues. So basically स्टोर करने के लिए स्पेस, सिर्फ क्या स्टोरेज के लिए स्पेस होता है और किसी चीज के लिए स्पेस नहीं होता है? आई थिंक देवांश दैट इज नॉट करेक्ट, बट कोई नहीं. क्या जो प्रोसेसेस होते हैं, राइट, वट एवर द प्रोसेस दैट यू आर डूइंग, उनको हम कहाँ स्टोर करते हैं, राइट? उनके लिए भी तो हमें स्टोरेज चाहिए होता है. Whatever the instruction that you're giving to your computer in order to perform that, that is also stored. Like let's say there's a process one that need to perform process 2, need to perform process 3. It will also be stored. And I think you guys also know something like RAM. So RAM is something which is a fast read write operation, and this is the place where all the instruction that I'm doing, that I'm giving to my computer, has been stored here, right? So not only just data, there is a place like in my browser, in my memory, there are some spaces that only for data, some bulk data, right? But we can also store some instructions as well. So it's a place, or you can say unit, where which is responsible for, you can say, which store the information, store the information and instructions, right? And the instruction to be processed. So this is important, right? So a place or a unit where you are storing the information, let's say any images, any videos, any information, which is just a read write operation, but also the instruction to be processed. So that is also stored in a memory. Now, can anyone tell me how many type of storages we have? Types of stores? Anyone? Types of stores? Can anyone name them? Yes, there is two. बहुत basic चीज है. No. Types of storage. Primary and secondary. Primary and secondary. So these are the two basically we have. No, not local and sessions. Storage is of only two types: primary storage and then there is secondary storage. Someone is saying ki RAM room, both of them are the primary storage devices. Yes, Lenson is a primary and secondary, and read only, write and write only. I think this is not the right criteria to differentiate between the storages. Local and sessions. Local and session वो browser में होता है, Shiva. That is for browser. But we are talking about the storage as a whole, like storage system जो हम पढ़ते हैं, EVMS वाला जो पढ़ते हैं. तो प्राइमरी मेमोरी होती है. सो इसको पहले डिस्टिंग्विश कर लेते हैं. जस्ट अ सेकेंड, एक सेकंड रुकना. या वी हैव अ प्राइमरी, सो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट दैट फर्स्ट. बहुत क्विकली समराइज करेंगे एंड ज्यादा डेप्थ में नहीं जाएंगे, बिकॉज दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट वी हैव लाइक लर्न, राइट, previously also. So it is just an internal memory, or you can say the main memory, and it's hold all the information, program, instruction, everything, right? So this is also the place where my RAM and ROM is present. So these are the things, the key point that you can remember. So it's a, you can known as, it is also known as internal or main memory, where not only just memory but also the instructions are stored, right? So it can this would be the one point. The second point could be like holds any information, files, instructions, because if I go like give you here right now, we have a hybrid kind of a memory. Something is SSD and other is SDD. So both of them are primary storage memory only. So let's say in SSD I have stored few files, .exe file somewhere, and I'm executing them. So execution is also there, storage is also there. So that is my main memory. Even my operating system is working on my primary this particular thing, right? In 8 GB of RAM, 3 GB is already been occupied, right? So in RAM, so why? Because that has been used for my operating system to work along, right? So examples would be RAM and ROM. RAM, ROM, nothing, random access memory and read only memory, right? Are the primary example of this primary storage. Other is secondary, right? सेकेंडरी का एग्जांपल कोई दे सकता है? यस, instruction. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. It should not be files here. Yeah, information, instructions, data input. Yeah, these kind of things here. So basically all the execution part. Just a second, this is my pet. Just a second. Yeah, she's gone now. So yeah, RAM and ROM basically what batch files कहाँ होती है? Batch files, I think they are in the secondary memory, right? I think, if I'm not wrong, but I'm also not sure. एक बार देख लेना. But I think secondary memory में होती है. Yeah, RAM and ROM is something which is executing all the works that I'm doing. That these files are open, right? And I'm doing this type of work here. It is saving. So all the inputs that I'm giving, all the program instructions, everything, right? Which is there. That is my primary. Secondary is just for the storing part. It does not contain any operations that I'm performing, right? So it's just as a external memory to the computer, right? That you can say external memory to computer. And the example of this will be your hard disk, like HDD, SSD, any kind of like storage device where you can store just information. One of the will be like pen drive and everything. These are the example of your pen drive, flash drive. So these are the example of your secondary secondary storage devices, right? So that's all. I think types of is fine. Let's go into, so do I need to like revise you guys this RAM room? Okay, let's quickly do this thing. It would be much more better. uh just a second. हाँ, रैम रोम में डेप्थ में नहीं जाते, बट देयर आर क्वाइट अ फ्यू थिंग्स ऑल्सो. एक बार वो भी कवर कर लेते हैं, बट दैट शुड बी द थिंग. जस्ट अ सेकेंड. सो या, सो फर्स्ट वाज, लेट्स से अब हर टाइप्स जो मल्टीपल टाइप्स होती हैं मेमोरीज की, वो एक बार देख लेते हैं. तो जैसे प्राइमरी स्टोरेज डिवाइस था, प्राइमरी स्टोरेज डिवाइस, storage devices. So we have like RAM, right? So RAM is what? RAM is what? Random access memory store the information for quick implementation of the things, right? If you want to perform something very fast, you should have a large RAM. all the execution of your file should be present here. And right now, it is coming from 4 GB to up to 64 GB, right? Depend upon the version that you are using. So this is what RAM is. And here, like, if you like, RAM is a place of memory where if you're storing that, like, earlier it was the thing that if you like shut down your laptop, RAM will delete all of the memory, right? But right now there are some optimization has been made that even if you uh no, for now as well, browser have some memory that if you open few if you close down few tabs, let's say you shut down your whole computer, but there were few tabs which were open in the browser, so browser also has some kind of a memory right now. So but my all the programs will get stopped because they were in the RAM. So RAM is not storing the memory when you have just shut down your computer, so it will delete that. But browser will have, so browser is storing the informations, right? If I talk about the basically, I'm not writing the definition, so you can think that types of RAM will be something. SRAM is there, just be aware of these names. DRAM is there, and SDRAM is there. I also like do not remember all of these name every time and what are their functionality, but you should like, okay, these are also something. These are the SRAM is static memory, random access memory. This is dynamic random memory access. So let's say if you have, basically it, ये ना सर्किट्स पे मेमोरी स्टोर करते हैं, राइट? सो ये दोनों चीजें एस रैम एंड डी रैम। सो यहाँ पे जो स्टोर होता है, दे आर जस्ट स्टोरिंग एज लॉन्ग एज द पावर सप्लाई इज गोइंग ऑन, राइट? बट डायनेमिक रैम में क्या होता है, इवन इफ इट इज कट ऑफ तब भी थोड़ा सा मेमोरी स्टोर हो जाएगा, राइट? सो दैट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन अ स्टैटिक एंड डायनेमिक रैम, राइट? और ये जो है एस डी रैम है, ये यू कैन कॉल्ड इट एज द, इस पे लिख देते हैं, एक काम करते हैं, स्टैटिक रैम रैंडम एक्सेस मेमोरी, राइट? दिस इज dynamic random access memory. So static is something which completely working till when the power supply is going on, right? So जो power circuit होती है उसमें ये अपनी memory retain करता है, but DRAM is not, even the power supply is not there, it will store some kind of a memory because internally वो कुछ use करता है, कुछ electric charges use करता है, so that is why it is dynamic, right? Don't need to go into the depth of it, just remember SRAM, DRAM, और this is synchronous डायनेमिक रैंडम एक्सेस मेमोरी। तो ये क्या होता है, सिंक्रोनस मतलब एक तरीके, दिस इज जस्ट अ टाइप ऑफ रैम ओनली, द वे दैट यू रिमेंबर दिस, इट इज बेटर देन डी रैम। द परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ एस डी रैम इज बेटर देन डी रैम। और ये लाइक इसे व्हेन यू बाय योर रैम, लेट्स से 4 GB of RAM, if I'm not sure that you guys have heard about this, so right now in company or any laptop version that you try to buy, so they gives you an information like this is a 4 GB RAM of DDR3 or DDR4, right? So have you guys heard about when you are trying to buy a RAM, so they say this is a DDR3 RAM, this is a DDR4 RAM. Have you guys ever encountered this? So that is basically the version of SDRAM only. Right now, most of the famous, like the latest one is DDR4. Earlier version was DDR3. It started from DDR1, DDR2, DDR3, and DDR4 also. So this is the latest one, and it has been like fastest among the all. So, and this is the technology which has been used in latest RAMs, which you can think of, right? So यही है, इसमें किसी को कोई डाउट SRAM, DRAM and SDRAM में? जस्ट थियोरिटिकल पार्ट है, जस्ट ग्रास्प इट फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ एन इंटरव्यू कि ठीक है कभी पूछे तो यू शुड नो दीज थिंग, राइट? ओके, देन वी हैव रोम। ठीक है, रोम के भी कुछ वर्जन्स होते हैं। सो हियर वी आर इनसाइड, जस्ट अ सेकंड, this should be, I should mark this as I, okay? So it is I, and this is second, which is ROM. So ROM is read only memory, सिर्फ we are storing the information that we just want to read. नॉन वोलेटाइल होते हैं नेचर में, easily disrupt हो सकते हैं, मतलब कि if you talk about the hard disk, so there are some possibility that it get corrupted, right? So non volatile in nature होते हैं, these memory cannot be like modify नहीं कर सकते हो in memories को. तो these are the furniture of ROM. RAM से काफी ज्यादा होता है ROM. So if you guys know, laptops में only 8 GB of RAMs comes, right? The default. But ROM could be something like 1 terabyte of hard drive, HDD, and 256 GB of SSD is there, or 526 GB of SSD is providing, right? So either the hybrid or complete SSD versions are coming to you. So this is GB, right? This is GB. So ROM is larger as compared to RAM. RAM is expensive as compared to ROM, right? So these are the two things. And if you talk about the example or the type of ROM, one is PROM, right? Another is EPROM. किसी को पता है? Have you guys ever heard about this? Okay, so PROM is something that this is a kind of a memory which is erasable, programmable. Yes, this is programmable. Means if there's a developer, they can program this kind of a memory. So this is read only, but you can also program. So you can think this is a programmable read only memory. I know these two things are contradicting, that one thing is saying only read only, but other is saying programmable, that you can make changes. But yes, this is a kind of a ROM where you can make some changes, right, inside the chip or whatever you have. And that's the functionality of this. And this is erasable by the word that you can understand, that it is possible to erase this information. और जो previously store information थी EPROM में जो store करते हैं हम, that can be easily erased, right? So you can write erasable ROM. So दो ही तरीके के ROM होते हैं. One is programmable ROM, another is erasable ROM. So PROM and EPROM. That's all. So this is for primary storage devices. Now there is another kind of category also, that is known as, just a second, that is magnetic storage devices. Magnetic storage devices. So first was the two type of category that we have studied, the primary and the secondary, but the secondary can be further breakdown. So have you guys ever known what is magnetic storage device? क्या होता है? So hard disk, correct. So hard disk हो गया, and hard disk. Another could be like if you guys are old enough, then you know there is something known as floppy disk as well. Only the old people will know this. It is a kind of a, what you can say, something like your size of your purse. Okay, and yeah, black in color purse, peach में there's a shape of a kind of a DVD, and it is like easily get corrupted. So easily corrupt hota tha, बहुत easily. So this was the initial style of reading like DVD or something. So ये था floppy disk. So these are called the magnetic storage devices. So here you can just जो जैसे hard disk होता है, hard disk is something like this, right? And it has been divided into sectors. तो ये होता है इस तरीके से कि हर sector is divided in this way. So these are the magnetic strips, right? These are called the magnetic strip, और इसमें memory store होता है. In these part memory stored, right? So hard disk is same thing. अगर वो corrupt हो गया, यहाँ पे कुछ damage हो गया, so पूरी memory corrupt हो जाएगी आपकी. Okay, then another type of memory is, I will write the definition with red or yellow. So this is the magnetic storage devices. Then we have flash memory devices. Flash memory devices. So here, the flash memory, the type, I'm just gonna like, I'm not going to more into depth of it. The example of this will be the pen drive. right? Flash means basically cheapable portable storage devices, right? And even the SSD comes into this category, because flash by meaning also you can understand, the read write is fast, right? So SSD pen drive comes into this category. SSD means, the full form of SSD is solid state drive, right? So they perform the read write magnificently fast than other kind of end devices. So yeah, memory card comes also in this category. Memory card. Memory card, why? Because it is portable easily. So portable, you can think this is uh, portable and affordable. You will say ki sir, SSD is also something that is very expensive, because 256 GB of SSD is coming at a price of 6,000 and 7,000. But that is quite same as RAM. If you think RAM is something, 4 GB of RAM comes for a price of 2,000, right? More than 2,000. So you can, and that is only 8 GB. I think 8 GB or 4 GB. So that is also the price. So portable and affordable. This is another category of, you can say, the secondary storage, right? I think then we have, yeah, another is, okay, let it be. Now we talk about the last memory type, that is now, which is in the most used and most famous, that is the cloud storage, or you can say virtual cloud and virtual storage, right? So I think there is no need to explain. There are quite a few example, जो example हो सकते हैं, like Amazon. Amazon का product है AWS, and AWS में S3 bucket is something that you can use as a memory to store the memory, right? Then Azure is there. Azure is a product of Microsoft. Microsoft का product है Azure. That is also a cloud, right? Even Google have its own. So Google का Google Cloud के नाम से है, Google Clouds, and there are others. Salesforce का भी है, everyone have, but these are the quite famous one. Top पे I will pick Amazon. AWS is the most famous one. Other which is like increasing in the market, and that is Azure. So Azure is making very partnerships nowadays, and it has been growing fast, but the bigger market has with Amazon right now. Google's cloud is something that comes after these three in terms of popularity and everything. But I will say that uh, what is the case now with Amazon? Na? See, if you, let's say you want to learn about something, let's say cloud development, right? So you search that cloud development on the YouTube. So first videos that will come to you, that will be for Amazon's, right? AWS. So people who have worked here, people who have community with that particular product, so the new generation is also learning that thing first. So that's why Amazon is on the top. But I feel the more functionality, the advancement, the ease of use is with the Google, because I have used Google Clouds, and that is phenomenal. Like all the machine learning, all the DevOps thing, Kubernetes, Docker, all of that are at the same place in just few clicks away, right? So that is phenomenal. So these are the three things which is famous, right? If you want to go move into the depth of it, you can. So I quickly revise you guys what we have done. First we have just look at what okay, first we started with the status code and everything, but now we started what is the storage. So storage is something which is storing your information along with the instruction that you need to process. Is the main two category of the storage, or the storage devices, are the primary and the secondary. Primary is your main memory, where all the instructions, all the inputs that you're feeding to your computer or your machine, that goes to your RAM, right? Basically RAM or ROM. So these are the two places, right? The secondary memory is only the read wala part, where your information is just storing, and you can have that read. You are just reading that information. You cannot erase that, or you cannot update that memory, right? So that is the one thing. हाँ फिर जो डिवाइसेस होते हैं, देन वी टॉक्ड अबाउट सम डिवाइसेस। तो रैम की थ्री कैटेगरीज होती है। प्राइमरी डिवाइसेस के अंदर रैम आता है एंड रोम आता है। फॉर रैम वी हैव थ्री कैटेगरीज, एस रैम, डी रैम एंड एस डी रैम। एस फॉर स्टैटिक, डी फॉर डायनेमिक, एस फॉर सिंक्रोनस, डी यहाँ पे डी रैम होगा ना, सिंक्रोनस, जस्ट अ सेकेंड, डी रैम, राइट। तो दिस इज द कैटेगरी ऑफ दीज थिंग विच इज कमिंग लेटेस्टली इन द मार्केट। DDR1, DDR2 जो होती हैं वो ये होता है। देन रोम में दो चीजें होती है, एक प्रोग्रामेबल रोम होती है, एक इरेजेबल रोम होती है, दैट्स ऑल। मैग्नेटिक स्टोरेज डिवाइसेस अनदर कैटेगरी, एंड इट इज फॉर द सेकेंडरी डिवाइसेस, लाइक सेकेंडरी स्टोरेज की कैटेगरी में हम आ जाते हैं। तो that is hard disk, floppy disk, all of this stuff, that is a magnetic storage devices. Then we have a flash memory, basically means portable and affordable things, pen drive, SSD, memory card, easy to like have a fast read write access, easy to like uh, basically carry, right? So these are the thing. And the last one is the cloud and the virtual storage. So for cloud, I have given you an example of AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. And in Azure there are other functionality, like for computational also they are providing you some memory. Let's say you just want to create a machine there, so for that you will have a different kind of an memory. For just to store, let's say you are developing something, you just want to store images or videos, then you have S3 bucket for that. So another categories of that will come into in picture. We will you can see that. Okay, so that's all I think that we need to cover as of now. So yeah, anyone have any issue in this, please let me know. If it is clear, please write yes in the chat. Clear, write clear. If you guys have any doubt, you can do that. Let me see something, if there's anything which is left over. I think we have covered everything. The only thing which is left with us is this particular thing, I think. For theoretical part, we have this file, intro to file system. So what we can do, we can leave this intro to file as of now, because there will be one complete lectures, I think 1 or 2 lectures that we will dedicate after the to do app for the file system, right? How you can do that. So let's skip this for now. Let's have a basic understanding of databases, and after that we're gonna start coding, right? So let's just understand first databases, because I don't think so you guys have studied databases as of now. किसी भी मॉड्यूल में डेटाबेस पढ़ा है आप लोगों ने? हैव एनी ऑफ यू? ओके, ठीक है, तो हम डेटाबेस कवर कर लेते हैं। मेजर चीज देखते हैं। वी आल्सो हैव लाइक आई विल शो यू गाइस अ करिकुलम वंस, बिकॉज यू दे शुड नॉट बी द थिंग दैट I think I have discussed the curriculum for the at the first day only, but still I'll show you guys that here today these are the things that we are covering: status code, postman and database, right? तो storage हमारा cover हो गया है and status code और everything is covered. फिर हम थोड़ा database का demo देखेंगे, राइट? तो वो एक चीज है। बट फाइल सिस्टम वी कैन स्किप एज ऑफ नाउ, क्योंकि फाइल सिस्टम लेटर ऑन ना 2 लेक्चर हम फाइल सिस्टम को डेडिकेट करेंगे। सो ऑलमोस्ट 6 hours, सो नो इश्यूज विद दैट। एंड फाइल सिस्टम हमारे यूज अभी नहीं होगा here at this places, and even the databases we're going to cover. Let's say for MongoDB there will be 2 lectures, and for SQL as well we will have a lecture. So this will the main application that you want to build, right? And tomorrow we're going to learn about the authentication system. So today only we're going to now we're going to see that what databases is. फिर उसके बाद CRUD operations हम perform करेंगे अपने APIs के साथ, these CRUD operation on the databases, and then we will see the demo of it, right? So just give me a second with that. Okay, so majorly the category of databases. First of all, what database is a place. Just remember the definition. Database is a place where you're storing the information, right? What is DBMS, database management system, that help you to manipulate your data? Database where you're storing the information, database management system which help you to manipulate your data, which help you to store your information in more organized manner, where you can reduce some redundancy, all of the stuff that you can do with the help of a database management system. So one is DB, one is DBMS, right? So they have a difference. Database, just storing the information. or you can say organized way of storing the information, right? Storing the info. DBMS, which help you to organize this particular thing. So you can say a tool or a package or a framework which is helping you to organize your database. So these are the two things that you need to remember. Now, if I talk about the category of database, right? First of all, you have to understand why the database come into a picture. Why not something else? So we have something else. So it was initially the file storage. So file storage, but what I mean, that is .txt file. So you can store your information in binary form here as well, in txt as well. So let's say I want to store a person name, its email, password, tele number, and what else, username, let's say, right? These are the information for one person I want to store. So I cannot store that inside a txt file? Yes, I can. So why not we were doing that? So because the read write operation there was very slow, it was volatile, and what you can think कि इसमें management करना मुश्किल था. So the shortcomings of file system or the file storage was it was hard to manage. The read write was slow. ठीक है, and it was because why the read write is slow, क्योंकि .txt file, it's a file ना, where it was storing, it is storing in the secondary memory. ये secondary memory में आपका store है, secondary memory. So automatically the read write operation becomes slow. ठीक है, so that is the reason. Because if you think Facebook has as of now I think 2.9 billion or more than this, assume 3 billion of data as of now. They have the vast data, right? So will it be possible to achieve that kind of an data and read write operation with txt file if they are stored in the secondary memory? Of course not. We want something where the read write operation is very fast, like you can do 1,000 within a million seconds, right? So that is why there is a shortcoming. And also you cannot what you can say, manage your data here. So management was stuff, read write was stuff in the .txt file. That's why databases come into a picture. And if we talk about the two category of databases, that is NoSQL. One is SQL and other is NoSQL. So categories or types, you can say, one is SQL and other is NoSQL, right? So any one of you know these things कि क्या होते हैं ये? Can anyone give me an example? A first difference, NoSQL, no table. Makes sense, makes sense. So basically SQL stores the information in tables, in form of tables, and this means no table, correct? Non-tabular representation, or you can say they store the data in the form of a JSON. So stores data, and you can say no tabular or in JSON format, right? Yeah, that's correct. I will tell the different collection. वो collection क्या होता है? So let's say I want a user that whatever the field or attribute of the user is going to be defined, that it has a name, it has email, it has password, right? All of that thing will be defined first, then only we're going to create the users, right? So here in NoSQL, they are known as schema, or you can say collections or collections. But here they are known as tables, right? So ये difference है. Here it is known as schema and collection, and here they are storing this is basically tables, store the information in the form of table. और इनको भी हम टेबल कहते हैं. मतलब स्कीमा इज अ ब्लूप्रिंट. स्कीमा होता क्या है? इट्स अ ब्लूप्रिंट ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट दैट यू हैव क्रिएटेड. ठीक है, सो स्कीमा एक ऑब्जेक्ट होता है. ऑब्जेक्ट क्या? the way we want to store the information as a key value pair. So for the user, I want name inside table also. एक table होगा, तो table में data कैसे store होगा? Let's say the first thing will be the ID, name. These are the attributes, right? हम इसे attributes कहते हैं. Name, password, let's say age, tally, all of this, email, right? ये क्या है? Attributes है. Here also in schema, you have to define that. So this will be known as data, and here the schema will be something different. We will see today only what how schemas look like. Here, I'll give you a normal representation here. Just this is an example that, okay, there will be a object. Inside that, you will have an ID, right? You will have a name. You will have, let's say, password, age, tally, and email. So this is the difference. यहाँ ऐसे स्टोर होगा information. So यहाँ पे if you want to store one person, so it will have an ID of, let's say, one name, this. The second will be here. Here all the data are present, but here this is no. If you want to store another person, so there another object will get created with the same ID, name, age, and password and everything. So here the read write operation is fast in this particular format because let's say I have this name as an object, right? And here I have, let's say, age, right? So for tables, I have to search for the object ID, and then I'll go at that particular column of age. But here I can simply do name dot age because it is inside an object, right? So you can do directly this, you'll get the information. So read write operation in NoSQL is very fast as compared to MySQL, or you can say SQL. Yeah, talking about that. Okay, one more thing that we forget. One of the terminology that we used. This is an example of these two. So here we call this as, this is a non-relational database and this is a relational database. We call this as a relational database, and this is non-relational database. Non-relational database. Okay. So why you have to understand this thing? So by doing this relational database, what I mean is, let's say, let's take an example that, let's say, this is my table number 1, T1, and this is table number 2. So T1, T2, right? And this is of, let's say, user, and this is of employee information. Employee information. So here we have ID, name, age, and everything. Here we will have employee ID. So you can write EID. Then we can have this user ID. Let's say this is u.id. This is UID, user ID. And then again, the type of employee he's doing, right? So let's say employee status and everything, all the information of that particular person. So what we have did is this particular UID is here, right? But this particular table also have its own object ID, that is employee ID, which will be unique for every entry that you are making. But which one is a primary key here? So UID, I will zoom into this. Just give me a second. So here, just a second. Here the UID was the primary key in the table 1, and in table 2, the UID is not, it is a primary, but here the primary for this particular table is EID, employee ID table. But we have used this primary key as a foreign key here, Now, let's say I want to get the information of a particular person who have an employee ID of, let's say, 5. ठीक है, I know the name of that person, but I want to, यहाँ पे उसकी employee ID 5 होगी, उसकी खुद की, sorry, employee ID 1 होगी, उसकी user ID 5 होगी, उसका name let's say करण है, and employee let's say teacher or SD, let's say SD, right? तो यहाँ पे I just want to know that, okay, a person with a UID of 5, I want to know the employee status of that person. So I can go from this particular table to this table if I'm making a search operation here. with the help of what? With the help of a primary key and the foreign key, because they have been mapped. So what I can do, I can join these two tables with the help of this primary key and foreign key. So why we call this as a relational table, a relational database? Now you guys will understand that we can define the relation between the tables. Okay, understood everyone? Why we are saying it as a relational database? We can define relation among multiple tables, and then we can make queries in order to read from one table to another. And here, this is non-relational database. So what you have to do is, so we cannot do, there's another way of doing that, okay, you are making a read operation on T1, but from T1, you can get the information of its employee by doing the join operation, right? So you don't have to extract the name or employee ID from here and then make a search here. So you are not making two times search, right? But here in non-relational database, if there is a user schema, if there is a user schema, and let's say there is a employee schema, and you want to get the information, so first you will make a read in the user, you will extract its object id निकालेंगे, and then again read करेंगे employee में. So there will be two read operation. यहाँ दो टेबल थे, यहाँ दो schemas थे. अगर मुझे एम्प्लॉय स्टेटस चाहिए था, तो पहले मैं यूजर पे आई वाज मेकिंग द कॉल, आई वाज एक्सट्रैक्टिंग इट्स यूजर आईडी, एंड देन आई एम मेकिंग, I do not have to make the second call. I can simply do the join operation and then I can get the information. So only in one call, I extracted the data. But here, if you want to know that, first you will make a call in the user schema, you will extract the object ID, and then you will make an employee call. So what you are doing, you do not have any relation between these two things. You will extract the data, you will come on your server, then make another call inside a database. So there will be two calls inside the database. That's why we call this as non-relational databases. That schema or database internally, you can say tables or schema, they're not dependent on each other. But now you can see one thing, that there is a benefit here. There is a benefit here that we are only making a one call here, but here the two-time read operation inside a database is going on, right? So can we do this kind of relational thing here in NoSQL data as well? So yes, you can do that, but like the MongoDB won't allow you that, but Mongoose can. Mongoose is another framework that we use in order to implement the MongoDB. You can implement, basically just understand this thing, that okay, you can implement foreign key and primary key wala concept जो भी होता है in order to define the relation. You can do that in NoSQL as well today. ये अपडेट्स आ चुके हैं, you can do that. But क्या करना चाहिए, that is questionable, and people are still talking about this. If you go to the Stack Overflow or some मतलब comments पढ़ोगे, या फिर if you go to the blogs, so still there is one thing, one debate is going on, that whether you should use primary key or foreign key wala concept in NoSQL database. Like, it's questionable, but you can. That's the thing. So you have to understand this thing. Again, let me know if there is any issue between the definitions of these two things. What is SQL? What is NoSQL? How it is storing a data? How this is storing a data, right? And why we call this as a relational database, and why we call this as a non-relational database. Clear, guys? Everyone? Okay. Pranav, Shiva, Jeroni, anyone of you, Devansh, किसी को कोई डाउट? Are you guys here? पूछ लिया करो वैसे, चलो कोई नहीं, ठीक है, ठीक है. हाँ, वन मोर थिंग, वन मोर डिफरेंस, एक बार ये लिख देते हैं कि framework that we can use in order to implement the SQL. So example of framework. So here it will be MySQL. I think you guys have know, and there is Postgres, Postgres SQL, something like this with G, I think. Postgres SQL. So एक ये होता है, and there is MySQL, right, that you can use with SQL frameworks. And for this you have MongoDB. Just a second. Yeah, so another example is MongoDB. So yeah, that's all. Just remember MongoDB is used, and right now, majority of the people who are working with Node.js and React as a framework, they use MongoDB, and like 90% of new startups are working with MongoDB. So you should know. And today also we're gonna have a look at MongoDB part. So that's all that we want to cover from this point of time. Now we can go to our Visual Studios and start implementing few things. Okay, just a second. किसी को किसी चीज में डाउट हो प्लीज लेट मी नो. ओके, वी वांट टू परफॉर्म द CRUD ऑपरेशंस एंड दैट थिंग ना, तो एक काम करते हैं. विजुअल स्टूडियो कोड कल वाले प्रोजेक्ट में ही वी कैन लाइक फर्दर ऑन कंट्रीब्यूट, बट एक नया प्रोजेक्ट क्रिएट कर लेता हूँ. So I'm copying this and pasting it. Make a rename of it. Today's lecture number 4. ओके, सो कल जहाँ लेफ्ट किया था वहीं पे हम ओपन कर लेंगे. Okay, fine. So yesterday, if you guys remember, these are the few things that we have worked along. थोड़ा messy है, but still इसी में हम आज contribute कर लेते हैं. So what I want is to perform the CRUD operations, right? So for that, what I want is we should allow ourselves to make the post request as well, right? तो और उसे postman से भी हमें try करना है. So that is also the one thing. So कल वाली चीजें hide कर देते हैं. एक काम करते हैं, कल वाली चीजें हटा ही देते हैं, right? Let's make this API. Save this. Just a second. Okay, let's Control J. Terminal is up. npm run dev. This is the command that we are using to run a particular files. Why? Because in script you can see I have added a particular dev command, and this node one that we have used as an package, right? So today what we need is to perform the CRUD operations, right? So let's do one thing. Let's see first our server is working or not at port 8000. Yeah, this is your server. It is working fine. No issues with this. I want this to test with this postman as well. एक सेकंड देना, थोड़ा सा लैपटॉप हैंग कर रहा है. एक्चुअली काफ़ी कुछ रन हो रहा है. Okay, so first we're gonna try with this postman also. So postman, this is a app. कहाँ पे मैं दिखा देता हूँ. This is normally you can download this postman app, right? And you can also use VS Code का एक postman client होता है, but I will not suggest that because it has functionality wise low है वो. So there's an external tool that you can use. Okay. And why I'm recommending this, because every person who is working in the industry as a backend developer is using postman, so you should know. So इसमें पहले तो अभी low level से चीजें शुरू करेंगे कि only the guest and the post requests that I want to make. Okay, so let's see here. So I'll give you the overview of this thing. Let's create a new tab. So yeah, here what you can see is basically uh, here we have some space to enter the URL. What I mean by the URL is basically at what point you want to send a request. So our request will be at localhost 8000 slash login slash API slash whatever it is. So it is the place where we can send the URL. Now, if you want to make a get request, post request, whatever request you want to make, you can do that, right? So can if you want to pass anything into queries or params, can you do that? Yes. By this you can write anything in queries. So let's say localhost 8000, right now I have my this get request. If you guys look here, this is the home request and it should return this is your server that we are seeing in the browser. Here in the browser we are seeing this is your server, right? So I should see this if I'm trying to hit this particular URL. So let's see, send it. So yeah, in response you get this is your server. So this is how it works. It is working as a UI for you guys to test your APIs, any request that you want to make, because here from the browser you can only make you get request. But if you want to make a post request, that also you can do. If you want to pass something in a query, let's say हमारे पास queries थी, right? कोई क्यूरीज वाला देखते हैं, माई ऐप स्लैश माई ऐप पे लेट्स ट्राई टू सेंड सम क्यूरीज, राइट? so slash my app, and then you can, with a question mark, either you can provide a question mark and then you can send a value of 100, or what you can do, just do nothing. Here inside the key you can write a key with a value of 100, and you can see above the value is changing itself, right? So you can, if you want to provide multiple values, let's say key 2, you can do that. So here in the URL it's changing automatically. Now if you want to send, so this is my app route, and if you go here, you'll see you have console things down here, so you can send these particular things. Also you can, if you want to hit some particular APIs with dynamic parameters, you can send slash API slash current, it will work fine. So that's all. Now let's try to make a post request. So inside the post request, okay, one thing I think that I have forget to told you guys, the way to send a data inside a get request is by the query at the parameters, right? By in the post, I think I have told you guys that the body is the thing where you send the data, right? So you should always know that, okay, in the post request, whenever you want to send a real data, all the information that should be inside the body, right? Can post inside a post request, can you send something like query and parameters? Yes. So for the get request, you can send the data in params and query, and here in the post route you can send the data in body, in query, and in params. So this is the basic differentiation between both of them. So let's try to make a post request. So what you can do is uh, I think what is the URL? The URL is where it comes from. So मैंने हटा दिया था. ये कहाँ से आ गए? ठीक है, save this. So now I want to make a request here at my app. Instead of that, you can say API. Okay. So this is the post request. So let's do that. So this will be slash API, and this you from here you can change post. So you can like enter multiple URLs. You can create your projects, right? And then you can save whatever the request that you are making. So again and again, you don't have to write that same thing, right? Now where is the body? If I want to send a data inside a body, so that will, this body is here, right? As you can see, there will be authorization. in params there are query and params, right? And authorization, there will be few things that you can send. If you have heard about API keys, if you're trying to interact with an external server, they need an API key, right? So you can send an API key here. So if you click here, you can send the key value pair here, and then you can hit that particular URL which is restricted, right? Again, if you have some kind of an bearer token is something that comes with JWT. So that token, any kind of authorization token, you can add here, but right now we don't want. In header also you can send few datas, but we do not want to send in headers, we want to send in body. But if we are sending something inside a body, what should be the format of that? The format of that, you have to click on body, then you have to click on raw, and then you have to click on JSON. So this is the three things that you have to select if whenever you want to send a data from the postman. So body, raw, and JSON, these are the things. We will send the data, but right now I have not do anything here because I'm just consoling here. This is my post route. So let's try out this. Send here, and all worked fine. That means post request is working fine. So the way I have created it, it is fine. So let's try to do one thing, that instead of consoling only this string, I am consoling rec.body. Okay. So this is what I want to console. So here I can send the things in the body, but that should be inside a JSON format, right? Because JSON is something that Express uses for sending of the data as a middleware, sorry, as a in the body, sorry, inside the body. So let's say name Karan. Okay. And then you can write something else as well. Let's say password 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this is how you form a JSON. So key is also a string and pair is also a string. If you remove something from the key, let's say I'm removing this particular string, so it won't work for you, right? And majorly you can think it is of a object, जावास्क्रिप्ट ऑब्जेक्ट ऐसे ही क्रिएट होता है, सिमिलर है, थोड़े से डिफरेंशिएशंस होती हैं बस. लेट्स ट्राई टू सेंड. All worked fine, but if you go here in your server and if you try to look here, they will show you undefined. Why? I'm sending the data inside the rec.body, but I'm getting a undefined. Have any one of you worked before on Node.js? किसी ने काम किया है पहले Node.js पे कभी भी? No. किसी ने भी नहीं किया है? Like no, we need to pass. Yes, Lenson, we need to pass. Basically we have to add few middlewares, and we need to tell them, we need to tell a server with the help of an express that okay, now my body, the data that I'm sending is in body, so you need to add two lines. And what that lines means, I will tell you guys. Let's say middleware. So I have taught you guys that whenever you use app.use, that is a middleware. So what it means, middleware is something which will execute before when you are trying to hit your APIs. So any request which is coming, let's say 100 of requests are coming, for every request which will hit here, before that, this particular middleware will get executed, right? So that is the work of middleware. You can write middleware here, you can write middleware in some other files, and then you can export here and write here. Let's say this is the function of a middleware, right? So you can do that as well. But this middleware will be common for everyone. So you can write app.use. The other is Express. From Express, we are telling them that whatever the data that we are sending will inside the body, that will be in the form of JSON, right? So that's all. वो फॉर्मेट अलग होता है Jeroen, in which format they are sending, that cannot be read. Now we are passing that, means typecasting that inside another format, that is JSON format for our server, right? The another line that you have to write is app.use express dot URL encoded, and just write extended true. Extended extended. Okay, it's not an array, it should be an object. Extended, yeah, and then true. So see what it does, returns a middleware that only pass URL encoded bodies and only looks at the request where the content type matches with the header. So okay, don't get confused by this meaning, but just understand what this is saying. Ki what it will say, here in my server, I am whatever the data that I'm getting in the body, that is in the URL encoded format, right? So I cannot read that. So I am trying to tell them that whatever it is in the extended format, just extend it to true and then convert it to JSON with the help of these two lines. So it will return those things. Don't get confused ever. Just remember these two lines. You have to write down these two lines whenever you're working with Node.js, no matter what. So one, what they are doing, whatever the data type that you are getting inside a body, it will convert that. It was initially in the URL encoded form. The other way, it is just convert them into a readable format in the JSON format, right? So just save this. Now, if you try to hit your URL, so now all worked fine. If you go here inside your console, now you are getting some responses. Here, my name and my password get passed. So this is another way. One way to pass a set data we have seen in the get request. Another way of doing that we are doing here by doing the rec.body, and whatever the data that I'm sending, we are consoling that down. So you can, let's say, send one more thing, email as abc@gmail.com, and then save. And you're seeing that this is the thing. Okay, here the nice way of returning something is not this. The nice way of returning something, open an object, and then inside this object mention the things that, okay, status code of 200, and along with that you can send a message. Let's say the message could be what, that API is working, user is created, right? And another thing that you can send to the front end developer is the data, that okay, which data, with the help of which data we have created our user, right? So from where we are getting the information, rec.body में ये सारी information है. I'm just getting that inside the post request and I'm returning that back to the client side. ठीक है, just save it. So what we have done, we have consoled the rec.body, ठीक है, and we are returning an object में क्या क्या चीजें रिटर्न करे, तीन चीजें. Every time you have to work in this way only. Either you're returning, you have to return a status, you have to return a message along with that, and then you have to, everything works fine, then you can return a data. If it is an error, then you can send a error, right? So these are the two things. Now go here. Now here you can see the information that you are getting. You are getting a status code of 200. A message is user is created, and the data that you have just passed here, right? If you change anything here, let's say, you will see that things have been changed. This is how a post request work. All fine guys, सबको समझ में आया कैसे हुआ ये? किसी को कोई इशू पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट के साथ है तो प्लीज आस्क.
सर ये रिएक्ट में हम इसको पोस्टमैन को कनेक्ट करते थे हमारे प्रोजेक्ट से, तो इसमें ऐसा कुछ नहीं करना होता, इसमें डायरेक्टली बस लोकल होस्ट लिख दो तो एक्सेस कर सकते हैं.
करेक्ट. आप जब उस पे कनेक्ट करते हो रिएक्ट पे, तो आप रिएक्ट ऐप पे करते हो या विजुअल स्टूडियोज में कनेक्ट करते हो?
तो इतना तो याद नहीं है, पर इतना याद था कि यहाँ प्रोजेक्ट बनाया था, फिर यहाँ से उसको कनेक्ट किया था. इसमें सीधा हम यहाँ
वो
पे
सिर्फ
मतलब
रिएक्ट,
सिर्फ यूआरएल लिख देंगे तो एक्सेस कर सकते हैं टेस्ट करने के लिए.
करेक्ट. कहीं का भी यूआरएल एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. जैसे कल हम एक जोक वाला यूआरएल ट्राई कर रहे थे ना, आप यहाँ जोक वाला वो यूआरएल भी पेस्ट करोगे एंड देन सेंड अ रिक्वेस्ट, ये आपको इन्फॉर्मेशन ला के दे देगा. तो कहीं से भी कर सकते हैं. बट आप फ्रंट एंड के लिए पोस्टमैन क्यों यूज कर रहे हो?
सर वो
ये
फायरबेस
एपीआई
एपीआई
टेस्टिंग के लिए
कनेक्ट
होती है.
किया था
एपीआई
इसलिए.
बैकएंड पे क्रिएट होता है. अच्छा,
फायरबेस एपीआई.
फायरबेस को फिर टेस्ट कर रहे हो क्या आप? ठीक है,
हाँ हाँ.
ठीक है, गॉट इट. ठीक है, कर सकते हैं, बट ऐसे कोई कनेक्शन की जरूरत नहीं होती है. डायरेक्टली यू कैन डू दैट. वीएस कोड पे कनेक्ट करते हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ पे भी एक ऑप्शन होता है. इफ यू गो इनसाइड द पैकेजेस, पैकेजेस कहाँ है मेरे? हाँ, एक्सटेंशन में एक होता है आई गेस, पोस्टमैन. हाँ, पोस्टमैन रनर है ना. तो हेयर ओनली यू कैन क्रिएट अ पोस्टमैन, एंड देन फ्रॉम हेयर ओनली आपकी जो फाइल्स होगी जिसमें एपीआईज होगा या वे यू वांट टू टेस्ट इट, यू कैन कनेक्ट दैट. बट आई डू नॉट सजेस्ट यू गाइस टू डू दैट वे. दिस इज अ बेटर वे, क्योंकि इसमें पूरी एडवांटेज रहती है हमें. ठीक है, किसी और को डाउट पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट में व्हाट वी हैव डन हियर? किसी को कोई इशू? प्लीज राइट यस नो इन द चैट। अब हम क्या करेंगे, नाउ वी आर गोना क्रिएट अ यूजर ऑन द यूआई। ठीक है, हम यूआई पे एक यूजर क्रिएट करेंगे। अभी मैंने पोस्टमैन का थोड़ा इंट्रो दिया है, एक हल्का सा यूआई क्रिएट करेंगे। फ्रॉम देयर वी गोना मेक अ गेट रिक्वेस्ट, पोस्ट रिक्वेस्ट, वट एवर इट इज। थोड़ा सा डेटाबेस कनेक्ट करके देखेंगे कैसे होता है, एंड देन वी विल सी दैट CRUD ऑपरेशन देयर। ये भी एक CRUD ऑपरेशन ही है, बट वो भी हम देखेंगे। ठीक है, बट उससे पहले हम ब्रेक ले लेते हैं, 9:50 हो गए हैं। सो 10 और 10:15 पे कैचअप करते हैं गाइस, ठीक है? इशू, किसी को इशू कुछ, या 10:10 करना है बता दो। ठीक है, 10:10 पे कैचअप कर लेते हैं।
सर मुझे एक क्वेश्चन था। हेलो
हम्म।
सर, मेरा कनेक्शन लॉस हो गया था बीच में, तो मैं थोड़ा मिस हो गया था। वो जो नॉन रिलेशनल, मतलब जो नो एसक्यूएल रहता
हम्म।
है, उसको नॉन रिलेशनल भी बोलते हैं हम?
उसको नॉन रिलेशनल क्यों बोलते हैं?
नहीं नहीं, उसको, हाँ वही पूछा था। मतलब जो एसक्यूएल रहता है उसमें हम कैसे दो टेबल्स के आपस में एक दूसरे का डेटा फैच कर सकते हैं, तो ये फंक्शनैलिटी इसमें नहीं होती क्या सर, ये की वैल्यू पेयर वाले में?
इनिशियली जो हमारा प्योर मोंगोडीबी या प्योर नो एसक्यूएल डेटाबेस होता है ना, उसमें नहीं होती है। बट ऐसे फ्रेमवर्क्स अब उसके ऊपर बन चुके हैं जिसमें आप ये चीज कर सकते हो। अब क्वेश्चनेबल ये चीज होती है कि करना चाहिए या नहीं, दैट इज क्वेश्चनेबल, बट हाँ कर सकते हो। और मैं तुम्हें एक दिखा दूंगा, एक अपना प्रोजेक्ट
तो सर
मैंने किया
वो
हुआ है।
डिसएडवांटेज कुछ नहीं होगा ना? ऐसा फील तो नहीं होता ना कि मतलब दूसरे का डेटा ऐसा, मतलब
देखो
जैसे उसमें टेबल के
वो
थ्रू?
डिसएडवांटेज नहीं है। देखो तुम रीड ऑपरेशन क्या प्रोवाइड कर रहे हो एक टेबल से दूसरे टेबल की, वो तुम्हारे हाथ में एज अ डेवलपर, ठीक है? तो वो मिस हैपनिंग नहीं होती। बट क्वेश्चनेबल ये चीज होता है कि जो कोर वैल्यूज के साथ नो एसक्यूएल डेटाबेस डेवलप किया गया था, कि इसे हम नो एसक्यूएल का मतलब क्या हुआ, नॉन रिलेशनल डेटाबेस। तो इस कोर के बेसिस पे इसको डेवलप किया गया था, दैट इज व्हाई इट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द रिलेशनल डेटाबेस। बट अब उसके ऊपर ऐसा फ्रेमवर्क आ गया कि आप उसमें भी वो चीज कर सकते हो। तो उसकी जो कोर वैल्यूज थी वो थोड़ा डिस्टर्ब हो गया, दैट्स वही, बस यही क्वेश्चनेबल है। बाकी हमने यूज किया है, मैंने एक बड़े प्रोजेक्ट में यूज किया था जो आज के डेट में 10,000 स्टूडेंट पर डे बेसिस पे यूज कर रहे हैं, मोर देन 10,000। तो उसमें हमने मोंगोडीबी यूज किया, बट उसमें हमने रिलेशनल यूज किया। फायदा ही हुआ, कहीं ऐसा सच में कुछ नुकसान नहीं हुआ। रीड
तो
इनसाइड द
मतलब
डेटाबेस कम होगा।
बनाया ही उसको इस तरीके से है कि नॉन रिलेशनल रहेगा वो,
हाँ,
जो।
उसे बनाया उस तरीके से गया था, बट अब फंक्शनैलिटीज आ गई हैं जो आप डिफाइन कर सकते हो। जैसे मोंगोडीबी के ऊपर एक
तो सर
फ्रेमवर्क है।
जरूरत नहीं लगती है तो, मतलब जो उसकी फंक्शनैलिटी उसकी ऐसा उसके बिना चल जाता है, मतलब?
चल जाता, बट वही है, जरूरत लगी लोगों को इसलिए वो फंक्शनैलिटी आई। वही कि आप एक टेबल पे रीड करो, वहीं से आपने दूसरे टेबल का डेटा फेच कर लिया, वहीं से रिटर्न हो जाओ। दो बार रीड करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी। तो कहीं कहीं लगा फंक्शनैलिटी, मतलब अब बड़े डेटाबेस में कुछ नीड होती है वैसी, तो उस हिसाब से फिर नीड आई। तो जो मोंगूज है, मोंगोडीबी का फ्रेमवर्क होता है मोंगूज, जो हम यूज करेंगे उसे डेवलप करने के लिए, एंड दिस इज द ओनली फ्रेमवर्क। अगर आपको मोंगोडीबी डील करना है, मोंगूज का था। और मोंगूज ने ये फीचर ला दिया कि आप ये चीज कर सकते हो। एसक्यूएल के जॉइंस के बारे में पढ़ा है? जॉइंस क्या होता है, एसक्यूएल जॉइंस?
हाँ, वो आउटर इनर वगैरह।
हाँ, वही वही, ये जो जॉइंस होता है ये प्राइमरी की और फॉरेन की पे डिपेंड करता है। आपने दो टेबल को ज्वाइन कर लिया, एक ही टेबल से दूसरे डेटा को भी आपने रीड कर लिया, या एक ही क्वेरी से आपने दो टेबल की इंफॉर्मेशन एक्सट्रैक्ट कर ली। तो यही चीज होती है जॉइंस वाला जो मेन कॉन्सेप्ट होता है, वो भी इसमें भी आ गई है। तो बस यही है।
अच्छा ठीक है, समझ गया।
ओके, ग्रेट। Hello, hello, hello. Everyone is here. Everyone is here, guys. Devansh and Mukul Shiva. I thought I was giving the break at 9:58, but that's why I've given the time of uh 10:10 or 10:15. But then I realized, okay, it was 9:48. So no issues. Let me know if other three people are also here. One left. Devansh, Mukul, Shiva. Okay. Yeah. Just give me a second. Just a second. Okay, let me know if my screen is visible. Whiteboard is here. Now I'll just first tell you guys that what I'm trying to build. Then it would be better for you guys. Okay. So right now we don't have any kind of a client side, right? Just a second. Okay, we don't have a client side, right? So what we're gonna do is right now here on my server, because usually what should be the flow is you make a kind of a form on the client side, and then you send the information with the post required on the server side. But this is not what we will do, because client will be running on some different server. Let's say it's a React and it's running on 3000, and server will run on 8000 port. But this is not what we are trying to do as of now. What we will do, there will be no client, but still we'll get a UI. So how we're gonna get that UI is with the help of a browser, we're going to make a get request, and in return, we're going to send a HTML. So what HTML will do, that will resolve on that server itself. So there will be only, we are looking at server 8000 only. So it will be a port 8000 only. And right now we are here only. And if we make a get request, in return, basically request. So here, this is the URL, right? From here, I will make a request at particular route, and it will return us an HTML form that I will render here, right? So I will not have any other client for it. We are on the server only right now. So this is what we call as server side rendering. There is a difference. This is a server side rendering. Okay. So here we will have the forms and everything. And here we're gonna make the again post request with the help of this form on this particular server itself. So here whatever we are doing, we are dealing at the server only, right? So that is the thinking what we are going to implement. Just a second. Yeah. So the rest of you, the two, are you guys here? Devansh and Lenson? Please let me. Lenson is here. I think Mukul was not there. Mukul is also here. Okay. So this is the basic thing that we're going to implement, right? The first thing. Just a second. So let's make a route on a particular API where my form will be there, right? So let's make app.get, and here we are trying to return a form. So let's say form, okay, and then res. What we need to do? Nothing, just return a form. So return res.send and opens the bracket. You can send a string. Similarly, you can send a HTML as well. So yesterday we were dealing with some HTML. So that the same way that I'm going to create a new HTML form. So HTML /HTML, right? And then what we can do is we need a header /head. Then we need a body /body. Okay, this is nice. Okay, so inside that I want to send a form. So for now, let's create few things in the form. So first will be the P, let's say, or you can create a header H1 or something. Let's do H3. And this will be also H3, and you can say my form, right? And after that, I'm gonna create a form. Okay, so this will be with the label of form, right? And here it ends, and here form again with this. Okay, inside this, everything that I'm gonna pass is here. So the first thing that I need is a label. So let's create a label. Label, and that would be I guess with a name you can write that, just provide your name, and here we can give the form, right? The form, let's say the form is equals to name. Then we need, I think, after the label we can have a input field. That will be a input normal, and this type will be text. Type is for text, and name, I guess, where we are giving the name is for name, right? So name is for name. So we are mapping this input with the above label only, right? And we can make this field as required. Let's not make this required as of now. So this will be the input field. So then we can copy this particular thing and paste it few more time. So now we can have the same thing for the grade. Let's say, and then I want, let's say instead of grade, let's say email. Okay, email. Yeah, that's fine. It would be type of name only. Type will be the text, and we have mapped with that above one. और यहाँ पे हम we can write password, let's say. So it would be let's say password and text, and the name will be the password. So this is the form that I have created. Let's try to submit, and let's try to hit a request on the where we are getting this request /form, right? So let's hit this route /form. So now you can see we are getting a particular form here, right? Now what I want to make a post request here. So form allow one thing, that on the submission of a form, what you can do, you can make a request. So form has internal properties, right? So that's what we're going to do. So here you can mention the action, right? So action, and then you can give the route where you want to make and the method that you want. So method will be nothing, just post, make it capital. So it will be a post request, and the action is basically the URL at which point you want to make the request. So let's say /submit_form. Okay. So that is also the one thing. So now this form, whenever I click on the submit button, okay, we don't have a submit button. Let's add, we want to add that as well. So let's add a button here. So button type would be normally just submit, and we can close this submit button / button. Right, save this. So now whenever we click on this submit button, what's going to happen is this form is going to be submitted, where at this particular route it is going to make this post request. This is the internal property of the form that we're going to utilize to make the request, right? So let's go here and let's try to refresh. So as you can see, we get a submit button. This is my form. I can provide these informations. So what I can do is now, okay, so let's say we are making a request here on the submit form. So what should be the name of the new, basically just tell me the endpoint and the method I should provide for the new route in order to handle all the information that I'm sending from there, from the UI basically. क्या नाम होना चाहिए उस route का, endpoint क्या होना चाहिए, and what should be the method? Because if I'm trying to hit this URL, just see what we can do here. Go here, inspect, and then go to the network section, enter some name, enter some email thing, and password, submitted, right? So you see we make a request, submit form. So the URL is something, method is something, but if you see, cannot make a post request on this particular form, means on this particular URL you are not making any there is not any handler there. We have not created any route, so it is saying you cannot make a request there. That's why inside that we get an error as well. So if you refresh again, you see you are getting an error that is a 404 not found. Basically 404 is not just used for pages, it's also for API. So this API is not found. So can anyone just write in the chat that how, what is the way of writing this API here? What should I write? Anyone? एक route बनाना है हमें, right? Okay, someone is saying app.get. So app.get, ठीक है? Or what should be the endpoint? Okay, submit form. Yes, correct. So submit form. This should be my endpoint, but Devansh and Mukul, ये get request नहीं होगा. The reason being, you are sending some data, and the data is not in the form of a params or query. You're sending the data inside a form body, right? And you can see here as well, it is saying cannot make a post request because it's no, there's a data inside the body, right? So they are saying you cannot send this particular thing, right? So here it should be a post request, not a get request. So now we have created a handler for that, and now let's do one thing, rec res, and after that just do nothing, return what res dot send, open the bracket, and you can send that status of 200, message of user created, or you can say form submitted successfully, form submitted successfully, and then you can send a data of the data that we are getting. From where we are getting a data, can anyone tell me where should be the data present to us? Body. So request dot body, save it. And if you want to see the data here as well, do one thing, that console dot log rec dot body, save this down. Now go back to our form again. So now let's try to send these information, submit. So you get something, a JSON from your server side. It is saying a status of 200, message submitted form successfully and data that you have formed, that you have sent in the form of a JSON. This is a JSON, right? So here also you can see we have console down the same thing. So how it is working? First, you go to this particular URL, which is /form. So what you are getting, you are making a get request, so you get a form. See from here in the postman. Now if I try to hit a URL, get with what? Get /form. So let's say /form. If I try to send, okay, not found. Can anyone tell me why it not found when I'm writing /form? So why I'm not getting an HTML page? Yeah, it is a post request, and there we have written a get handler, right? So send it. Now you can see you are getting an HTML page, right? Preview HTML visualize preview has yeah, there is a preview of this same thing here. So we are sending a HTML page as /form. So from here, now this form will do what? Once you click on the submit button, it will make a post request on this submit form. Can we do that with the help of a postman instead of having a UI? Yes, you can. So let's write submit form, right? And then you can make a post request, right? You will click on this body, come to raw, click from this JSON, and instead of we are having what are the things that we are having? We have name, email, and password. Okay, the same thing written here. So if you send, so now you can say a status of 200, form submitted successfully and everything. So you do not require an UI for the same. So you can deal with that here. You can see that this is the information which get logged in here. So with the postman and with the UI, you can do both of the thing. I have shown you guys with the both of them, right? This is how you are making another operations, another CRUD request, right? So any issue as of now, where we are going to get a form, how we are getting a form, how that form is making a post request, and how we are getting the things in the body. Are you guys able to understand this thing? किसी को कोई doubt है? Please let me know. Okay, clear. No, ठीक है. So that is how your another request that we have created. Now what I want is to create, like, to show you guys MongoDB with that, right? So should I show you guys how to connect MongoDB with this server, or it will be overwhelming for you guys as of now? Just let me know. If it is overwhelming, just let me know. All the information that I have given you today is quite a few information we have talked about. But still, if you want to make how a MongoDB connection and how to create a user there, we can do that. But if it is overwhelming, let me know. What do you guys want tomorrow? Valenson is saying, please show. चल शो कर देते हैं. कल हमारा क्या ऑथेंटिकेशन है. फॉर ऑथेंटिकेशन वी नीड डेटाबेस कनेक्शन. ठीक है, तो थोड़ा सा कर लेते हैं, बट it is another topic to deal with. So don't like try to memorize or something. ये मत करो. Try to just grasp the information that I'm giving you guys. So simple सी चीज पहले understand करते हैं कि we are going to install MongoDB, right? So MongoDB के लिए we required a framework called Mongoose. So npm I Mongoose, right? We are in the same lecture Gen 4. Okay, fine. So this is the framework which is needed to us, right? And we have to create a connection with the MongoDB Atlas. Now, what is MongoDB Atlas? This is a question, right? So let's go here. Just a second. Actually, my laptop is, I have to run very big models right now, machine learning models. That's why, like from last 1 week, it has been continuously working. Just a second. What we need to open Atlas. So MongoDB Atlas is something. It's a UI which has been provided to us to visualize the data, right? So this is a database which is already there on the cloud. So we can utilize this cloud information. There is a two type of MongoDB. One is MongoDB Compass, which will be present in your remote. So if you can go to the MongoDB Compass and you can see this particular thing, you can download it and it will be present at your local, right? Another way of doing that, you can have a cloud version of it. Similarly, you can sign in here, right? And here create a account. I already have an account, so I will not show you how to create everything from the scratch, but still I will tell you guys how you have to do that. So once you try to like sign up for the very first time, they will ask you to create a cluster. Cluster is very important. So cluster in the MongoDB, it act as something that how many cluster they are providing to you guys, and depending upon that, they will charge you. So only one cluster is free for free use, and inside that cluster you can create multiple projects. There is no issue. So you can see this is my cluster, cluster 0, right? And inside this you can see there's project 0, there is a backend project. You can create new project here as well, but this is not the first thing that you guys will get seen. If you are logging in for the first time, what you guys will see is this. The MongoDB will ask you to create a cluster first, right? So you will guys get something like this. So here also you can see they're charging something, dedicated, serverless, and shared. So you have to click on shared. Shared is the free cluster, right? Now you can see the free got there. You have to click AWS, the cloud provider. Then if you go here, this is what you have to select. Asia region, Mumbai. And then no need to change anything here. No need to change anything here. You should see cluster number 0, right? And then you have to click on create cluster. I cannot create a cluster because I already have a free, I have already used. As you can see, this project already have another free cluster, so I cannot create, but you guys can. And there will be next step. In the next step, what you guys will see is this thing. They will ask you to add a user. Just a second. To add a user to your project. What it means to add a user is basically you are telling them that this is the username and the password that I'm allowing, that this person can have an access to this particular project. So do you need to provide any harsh or hard username or password? No, keep it simple so that you can remember, because every time you want to make a connection, you have to remember that thing. So it will be something like this, that they will ask for you the username. So I have given you, I have given the name Karan, and my password will be much simpler, like 1234, something like this, right? And don't give password with any special characters. Okay, just remember this thing. At the rate, hashtag, don't give that kind of like to create a user. Once you create a user, next, then click on the next, then your cluster will be created, and then you'll see this kind of a view. So this kind of a view will be shown to you guys. So there will be two steps. First, create a shared cluster. Okay, then add a user to it, and then you will see this thing. Now what you have to do, you have to connect particularly something, right? So how you gonna connect this particular interface of Atlas, MongoDB Atlas, with your project which is present inside your local host? So see, you can see a button of connect here. So they'll provide you 3 options, and you have to check that there is a green signal here. So if it is, then everything that you have created is fine. If it is not, there might be the case that you have to come to your database access, sorry, network access. And what you have to do, you have to add this IP address. You can do this thing, just add 0.0.0.0/0. That means or basically it means all the requests from everywhere, anywhere inside the world, if the request is coming to your database in this particular atlas, you are allowing that. Another way, add your IP address. So just add your IP address. So that only add current IP address. You can do this and confirm. So you can see another IP address is accessed. So you can delete this, and then only your IP address, basically your machine, can have an access to this particular database, or you are allowing calls or network calls from anywhere. So there are two category. I prefer this thing because this feature, I think what happens is you have to add again and again. So that is an issue with this particular thing. It show some kind of an error. So yeah. So again, go to your database, click on this connect button, and if everything is green, that means you are good to go. Then there are 3 or 4 ways that you can connect. So connect with the MongoDB shell. You can use MongoDB with shell, but we are not going to do that. Connect MongoDB using Compass. You can do that. So with this Compass, what you'll have is they provide you this kind of an URL. So you can copy this URL and paste inside your MongoDB Compass. So then it will get connected, but we do not want this. We want to connect with our application. So where you have to connect with the second number, connect your application. So you have to click on this thing, you'll get see my driver is Node.js. If it is not Node.js, then mention that what Node.js, what kind of application you want to connect with. So mention Node.js there, and then copy this URL. So copy this URL. So here, this URL says what? That cluster 0, that there is a MongoDB which has been created for me with the current name. I'll show you guys this with closure look. So if you go here and paste this URL, let's write const mongo URI, and that will be equals to, inside a tilde you can paste it, right? So this is the URL that we have pasted. Now things which come first, you can remove this particular thing. After the question mark, whatever it is, you can remove that. Then after the question mark, like slash, you have to give the database name, because every time if you are in MySQL or you are in MongoDB, you have to give the name of your database. Either you can create that thing first. So how you can create that okay, you give a name of demo, right? So not okay, give it a name of demo, or whatever the name that you want to give. Go to your Atlas, and then here in the browse collection, you can go in browse collection, and then you can create a database, load a sample database. So add my own. Okay, no, this is not what I want to do. Okay, just leave this as of now. So inside a database now, once one database is created, you will get an option to create multiple databases, but there is no database that we have created as of now. So once you are figuring that out for the very first time, you can do that, but now there's no issue. What you can do is just mention that project or database name here, right? So they will create automatically with this database name. Now the next thing that you have to do, change this password to the password that you have given. So it would be, my password is 12345, right? So now my Mongo URI is connected. I recall things again, what we have done so far. I don't know what it's searching for. Okay, so basically you have to go to your database first. You have to create a cluster, right? And once you are creating a cluster, you have to select these options, create cluster. The another thing that you will get is create a user for that, right? So then what you can do, go to your database access, create a person. You will get there that write a name and a password. You will get that option there. So just write a name and a password. And then in network access, you can allow calls from everywhere. So this is what you can add. Now you have to come to your database again, this particular thing. Click on the connect, connect your application, and then copy this URL. So just copy this URL and then paste there. So after the question mark, remove everything, give it a name of demo, and password is removed by the password that I have given. Okay. So Mongoose installed ho gaya. Let's see. Yeah, Mongoose has been installed, no issues. So now we need to make a connection. Okay. So how we're gonna do that? No need to remember this piece of line. If you just try to like Google it, Mongoose connection node. So you'll get bunch of like examples how to connect. So that is the same way that you have to follow. Let's see, are we getting anything? Yeah, this is the way that you have to make a connection. So first you have to bring mongoose into the picture. Const mongoose equals to require mongoose, and then you have to write mongoose.connect, pass the URL. So we have our URL, and after the second parameter that you have to pass is these 2-3 things. Now what this is to avoid some depreciating errors, right? Basically they are not necessary, but if you try to make a connection without these statements, so what will happen is some kind of an warning will come to your console. So in order to avoid those warnings, we have to write these things. So why we are getting this is, in the previous MongoDB, by default these values were set as true or false, okay? But as of now, in the latest MongoDB, they have removed default version of it. Now you have to give the version to them. So if you're not giving those values, it will throw an warning, not a error, just a warning. That's all. Your server will run, your connection will be made, just a warning will come to your console. So we don't have to worry about that. Just mention these 3 key value pair. I think no need of this only. We need this and this one, right? These 2 things are required. Okay, so let's see some other examples. Here, mongoose is required, then mongoose.connect with the URL, right? So this is how you can make connections. So similarly, this is the way we are going to do that. Okay. So first require mongoose. Mongoose equals to require mongoose. Okay. And then after that, where you can make a connection, you can make a connection here after this URL. So what I want to write is mongoose dot connect. Okay. Dot, if you write, you get these informations: schema, model, connect, type, connection. What I want, connect. Okay. Yeah. Then opens, and then it requires 2 things. See, first is the URI, basically the URL that you need to pass. So we have that URL. Yes. So Mongo URI we have. This is the value now. Here the value that I'm passing. The second thing is that they have mentioned to me in the that particular field. If you go here, these values. So I think this is not required. Use new parcel and this. So let's try to save this, right? But we are getting another warning, and that is for this particular key value. Another key value is saying that in the previous mongoose, it was set by default by something that you can see. These kind of a warning will come that strict query option will be switched to false by default in mongoose 7. So mention this thing if you want to prepare for this change. ठीक है, तो ये कह रहा है कि just mention this thing. So let's do this thing. Control C. और यहाँ पे just paste it. And if you save this, now you can see that error, that warning, depreciating warning has been removed. That's all. That is the purpose of this thing. You don't have to worry about what internally that things are doing. So the thing that you have to put a focus around, how to create a Mongo URI, how to make a connection. And in connection, the first parameter that you need to pass is that. And what it returns a promise. So what you can do is, after this, you can write dot then. And in dot then, you can pass a response and dot catch, and that will to catch an error if there is an error. So here you can write console.log connected to DB successfully, right? And then here you can write this console log the error. Save it. Now I think let's see what we are getting. Yeah, now you can see this has been console down, that connected to DB successfully. As you can see, server is on port 8000. After that, we get an information on connected to DB successfully. So first thing that will take place is this the listener take place, right? So this listener here, it take place, and after that the connection take place. So first your server runs because you're running app.js file, and after that here also inside this you can run your MongoDB command, no issues. Or inside your MongoDB command, here in this particular dot, then you can write app.listen. So both the way you can do that. If you're writing here, so first the connection will take place and then your server is going to start. But right now my server is starting first and then my connection is taking place. So anything that you want to do, and that depend upon server. So let's say there should be a scenario, just think of a scenario that your server goes down, but you don't want your database to go down, right? So if I'm writing this connection here inside this particular thing, so if my server goes down, my database is going down, right? Now they two are the different things. Now you want that even the server is going down, database should run. So you can write inside this dot then that app.listen. But right now we are keeping the things like differently, no issues with that. So again, I'll repeat, we install the Mongoose, we require that, we connected with this URI, we write mongoose.connect, it returns us a promise dot then and dot catch, and if we everything is successful, so we get a connected to DB successfully. And if there is an error, so we'll console down the error. Now from where we are getting this URL, I have explained this, right? So let's try to go to our MongoDB Atlas. Is it still loading or what? Saying we are deploying your changes. Let me do one thing. Let me log out first and then I'll log in again. So even if you log out, that doesn't matter because it is a cloud service and you are allowing this IP address to have a connection with that URL, right? So that is the one thing. Okay. So now permission process and is it still loading? Okay, I'll see how to deal with that. But now let's see the database. Browse connection. कुछ तो इशू हो गया है, वो जो I have click on that button ना कि upload some data, so that have some created some issue. I have to stop this somehow. So वो देखते हैं, कोई इशू नहीं है. ठीक है, आज के लिए ना, अभी के लिए, because one another thing that I want to like do in order to show you the MongoDB database. Right now we have just connected with the database, but we want to create a user as well inside a database so that we can see. That part we will carry on from tomorrow, no issues. कल हम पहले authentication पढ़ेंगे, authentication समझेंगे, and once we were trying to do the authentication, then we will create the user schema first, और फिर हम उसमें call ले लेंगे, ठीक है? So that is all for today, guys. If you guys have an issue in this Mongoose part, I'll recap again. First, we created the post route, right? हमने post route create किया था सबसे पहले. This one. Body में चीजें send करी. The second thing that we did, we created a form. And after the form, we tried to submit some information that we are getting here at the submit form button. We tried everything with the postman as well. So that's another recall. कि जो postman में हमने की चीजें की हैं. Now we connected the MongoDB with us. So how we are doing that? With this particular URI and with Mongoose. Mongoose is the official framework in order to use MongoDB. Every time you have to deal with MongoDB, you have to install Mongoose. ठीक है? So that's all. किसी को कोई doubt, कोई issue, please let me know in the chat. If it is clear, please write clear in the chat. Okay, great. So one thing that I would like to tell you guys is tomorrow I think I will not take the class. ठीक है? So most probably either there will be holiday or there will be something else. कुछ और होगा. So please look into that. जो भी होगा Ritik will convey that. So अब we will encounter on Monday only. So you guys have 3 days of gap. ठीक है, 3 days का गैप है हमारे पास. So what you can do is go to YouTube और see how to connect, like ये connection और MongoDB वाला पार्ट देखो और देखो कैसे यूजर तुम क्रिएट कर सकते हो. बेसिकली स्कीमा कैसे क्रिएट करते हो, हाउ टू क्रिएट स्कीमा इनसाइड अ MongoDB और इन Node.js एप्लीकेशन. ट्राई टू सी दैट, देख लो एक बार. ऑथेंटिकेशन का ओवरव्यू ले सकते हो. ये चीज 2-3 चीजें तुम कवर अप कर सकते हो इन 3 चीजों में. हम आएंगे तो हम तो करेंगे ही फॉर श्योर, बट इट वुड हेल्प यू गाइस. तो प्लीज डू दैट. एक हाउ टू क्रिएट अ यूजर लाइक स्कीमा, or how to connect MongoDB with Node.js application, and then the second thing is थोड़ा सा authentication का overview ले लेना. That's all. Okay guys. Okay, yes or no, anything? No one already left. Okay. Okay, any feedback for today guys? All good? Speed, material content, overwhelming raha? Okay, great. Okay guys, then good night. Thank you for coming. See you guys on Monday. Bye bye. Good night everyone.